You know, I don't always sew with patterns, but when I do, I honestly prefer vintage patterns. When I say vintage, I mean like mid 70s and older. I think that's the era when patterns were so much better. They were easier to use, they fit better. I love them. And because I obnoxiously talk about this all the time, people are kind enough to give me vintage patterns. Recently, someone from my sewing group gave me this one. Oh my God, I love it, but it's like 4 sizes too small. So let's make a jumpsuit inspired by this, but using our own clothes as a pattern. Hi, I'm Jenny. I've been sewing for almost 30 years. I like to make a whole bunch of stuff. You don't need to like and subscribe to my channel, but it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Okay. Let's get going on this jumpsuit. First, you need a t-shirt you like the fit of and a pair of pants that's kind of on the loose side. You'll see what I'm saying. So this is what I'm going to use as my pattern. These are a pair of my husband's workout pants and then just a t-shirt I like the fit of. I'm not going to make it short sleeve, but we're going to use this general shape. I'm going to start by marking where the pants and the shirt meet. You can see I have just a little bit of hangover. And then we're going to get going. Normally when I pattern pieces, I use this large roll of tracing paper, but medical exam paper works really well, and newspaper and wrapping paper, just whatever you have that is large enough. So to start the patterning the top, I folded my t-shirt in half along the front middle, and I'm going to trace the neckline. That's kind of where I want it to be. And then everywhere else, I'm going to trace around the seams, adding about 3/8 inch seam allowance. That's usually what I sew with. For the armholes, you can tuck the sleeve inside the shirt and trace that. I just eyeball it at this point. And then I can make any adjustments I need when I'm wearing the garment later or when I try it on, but really I just eyeball it. And then I smooth out that bottom edge, adding a little bit of extra distance in the front center just so it hangs nicely. Around this point is when I decided I actually wanted to make this reversible. So to do this, I folded a piece of tracing paper in half and then traced the bodice pattern that I just made onto both sides so that when I opened it up, I would have a complete full bodice piece. And then I could make a diagonal line because I wanted this to have like a faux wrap moment to give it just something different on the other side. Hi, Editing Jenny here. I'm watching back the footage of me making this garment and I just want to make a point about something. You'll notice I don't use any like straight edges or French curves or anything like that. I don't even measure my seam allowance. I just go, that's about right. So if you came to my channel hoping to find like precision tutorials and like somebody who is super detail oriented, I am sorry, I am not that person. I'm much more of a free-spirited sewer. I want people to not be afraid to start sewing. It's not that serious. We can just go, that's about right, and see if it works. You know, for me, my whole attitude is, this is fine. We will get through this. We will make it. We will have fun. We don't need to slow down to measure. So I hope that comes across. I hope it makes you less scared to try a new project. It doesn't need to be scary. It's just sewing. We will get through it. Also, that's the benefit of using free fabric. I'm not as worried if I mess it up. Okay, back to the video. Okay, moving on to the pants. I did the same thing I did for the top. I tucked in one pant leg into the other so that I could fold it down nice and flat onto the page. And then I just traced out the sides with about a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I added 1 inch to the bottom for a hem. Now for the crotch seam, this is where I made a huge mistake and I'm going to tell you about it now so you don't make this mistake. Use the rise for the back of the pant if you're going to make this reversible, because I didn't, and then I ended up with not enough room when I sat down. So I had to go back and add an extra wide waistband, which I will show you later on. But so just, you know, learn from me, don't do that. So I got this white and blue fabric off of Facebook Buy Nothing group. So this project was free to me, which is super, super, super great. I traced everything out with, I usually use a disappearing marker, but you could also use washable, and then cut all the pieces out. Thankfully, I had just enough fabric to cut all of this out. And for the top, you can see I put the scoop net front on the fold and then the cross front just in this top corner. I did decide to go ahead and put pockets in. I have a pocket pattern up on Etsy that has all the instructions how to do that. I'm not going to cover that here. If you're interested, you can go check that out. And then after everything was all cut out, it was time to start putting it all together. Now, I assembled everything on my serger You obviously don't need to have a serger to work with knits. I have one, so I use it. If you're not going to use one of these, I would highly recommend using something like a zigzag stitch so that it stretches as you wear it. I went ahead and I chained as many pieces together as I could. You see here, I'm doing both front crotches together and then the shoulders. Chain piecing things together really makes sewing fast. I know a lot of people like to finish garments just a little bit at a time, but doing it this way means I can get this garment done so much faster. To give a nice clean look to this garment, I'm going to use binding to finish the armholes and the neckline. I cut 1-inch strips the whole width of the fabric, and I'm going to attach that right sides together. At first, I'm going to do it to the neckline, so it goes all the way from one wrap side around the scoop and down the other wrap side. And as I'm putting this on, I'm going to pull the binding slightly to stretch it. This just makes it lay really nice and flat at the end. After I get this done, I'm going to sew the side seams together and then try it on to make sure I like the look of it, and then add the same binding to the armholes. Now this is the extra wide waistband that I mentioned earlier. You see I have 2 of these pieces because there's going to be one on the inside and the outside. It's a lot smaller than the pants, which looks scary, but that's just because I will stretch this out as I sew them together. I put it to the bodice first and then attached both of these layers to the pants to finish it. I added elastic in this wide waistband. Honestly, if I did this again, I probably wouldn't. I think it's a little more comfortable without it, but I did like how much it cinched in the whole look. So, you know, you live and you learn. I don't think you guys are ready for how cute this is. I love her. This is obviously the crossbody front. I know it was like a last minute thing to be like, let's make it reversible, but tell me it wasn't a great idea. This is amazing and I love it. With the scoop in the back. When I do make it again, I will make this piece like a little bit tighter down here because I just think it would look a little bit better. But honestly, other than that, watch, she's amazingly comfortable. I usually wear V-necks, so I kind of like this side, but I don't know, I like the other side. Let me show you. Okay, but it's like wearing pajamas. This, it is so soft. I love it. I know this waistband wasn't what I intended, but honestly, this pattern is so loud, you don't really notice it. It's fine. If I do make it again, I'm definitely gonna change that. But look at the back. She's beautiful. She's lovely. Right? It's like wearing pajamas. I love it. And yes, the pockets work. This is the front scoop side. Here's the back up close. I'm gonna go take a nap in this. Okay, bye.